Hey guys, and welcome on in to another episode of Getting Well with Terry and Friends, free NHL picks. I'm Terry, ready to break down today's slate. Yes, there's only one NHL game today. I do have a play in that game. I'm going to break down two American Hockey League games as well, and give out an NHL future play that I bet last night. So we are going to jump into all of that. But before we do that, we will take a look at what happened yesterday in the NHL, starting with this game, which I've already seen a couple of comments here in the chat, which I'll get to after, of course. Sam Reinhart, his streak is now officially over. Back to back games with no goals for Mr. Reinhart. He had a chance at the empty net, but decided to pass instead. So that was unfortunate. I am happy, though, that he at least got a point to cash the same game parlay. Florida money line, Florida team total over 3.5, Reinhardt point, and Kachuk point. So getting Kachuk's point was great. Unfortunately, he did not get the goal. And now, after back to back games, I will not be betting Sam Reinhart to score in his next game. So, more than likely, we're going to see him score in his next game. But that's how it goes. Anaheim Ducks and Ottawa Senators. Wow. The Senators team playing so well, looking like obviously they would have to go on an extreme, like 14-1 run to even have a chance at the playoffs, but they were looking really good until this game, obviously. It was a 5-1 win for the Ducks on the road, and just a horrible game from the Ottawa Senators. Seattle Kraken, Boston Bruins. Under 5.5 was a nice winner in this game, and Mr. Jared McCann, who did not have a point, decided to shoot at the empty net. I love, unless I'm on the Ives, even when I was on the under, I still got it, despite McCann shooting at the empty net, got the empty net goal, so cashed his point prop, and the game stayed under 5.5. And as I said on yesterday's show, I was going to take Joey Decord over on his saves prop. It was 26.5. It came out after the show, and he hit it in the second period again. This Kraken team gives up a ton of shots, and if Joey Decord is in net, his saves prop is definitely a good look. LA Kings, New Jersey Devils. The LA Kings with the 2-1 victory. A close game pretty much throughout, but the Kings getting the victory on the road in this one. Montreal Canadiens, New York Rangers. I posted on Twitter on the Getting Well with Terry and Friends when I cashed this play yesterday. So many people have said that Marco Rossi was a bust. A lot of people said Uri Slavkovsky's a bust. I even mentioned on yesterday's show, but the kid has found it. Sometimes it just takes. You can't expect everyone to come out in their first season, guns blaring. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to develop, as we've seen with Slavkovsky and also Alexis Lafreniere. He's kind of the same thing. Drafted first overall, has been called a bust for a few years, and he's having a breakout season as well. So Slavkovsky should not have been plus 100 to get a point when he's on the top line, and he had points in 6 games in a row. Now he's made it 7, and Montreal plays tomorrow. Spoiler alert, when I'm going to be on. Philadelphia Flyers, Toronto Maple Leafs. A lot of people on the Flyers last night. Toronto has absolutely dominated the Flyers. Usually they win by 3 or more goals. They did take a 3-1. They did have a 3-1 lead in this game before Philadelphia stormed back and the Leafs won in overtime. So an important win there for the Leafs and the Flyers getting a point as well. Colorado Avalanche, Tampa Bay Lightning. I mentioned yesterday on the show that my favorite parlay piece of the day was Brandon Hagel point. He did get 2 points in this game. On the very first, or on the second goal, when he did get his first point, Cirelli had an assist, plus 170, and I was all excited. and then the stat correction was changed, and Sorelli's assist was taken away. So that unfortunately was a little bit of a heartbreaker there. But I did have Brandon Hagel in a few parlays. So that was nice. I also had a same game parlay here with Sorelli, Kucherov, and Hagel. So I was glad that Hagel did get a goal at the end of the game. So to cash that same game parlay for me. This game here, what can really be said about this game? Dallas Stars came to play, and the Nashville Predators um, did not. Dallas Stars, I believe it was 18-1 in shots for Dallas after the first period. The Stars scored 4 goals, ended up getting the 9-2 victory in this one. So not a close game. And Mason Marchment, I think, had 2 or 3 points. So awesome when a game like this happens where it's no sweats at all. And it's a nice, easy win in that one. Edmonton Oilers, St. Louis Blues. The St. Louis Blues with the victory here at home against the Oilers. And Edmonton, penalty trouble in this game, giving the Blues power play after power play after power play. Whether it was the refs or it was the Oilers being undisciplined, I don't know. And I can't comment on that because I did not watch the game. But the Blues with the win at home, thanks to all those power plays. Pittsburgh Penguins, Chicago Blackhawks. The Chicago Blackhawks have had a lot of success against Pittsburgh recently. Not as much as success as they've had against Ottawa, which we'll talk about tomorrow for tomorrow's show, which is most likely going to be tonight. I'll probably be doing tomorrow's show tonight, but we'll discuss that. The Blackhawks have had the Penguins number recently, but the Penguins in a game where their season pretty much depends on this because you're not going to get easy wins like this every night. And if the Penguins want to have a shot at the playoffs, they had to win this game. They did that with a 4-1 victory. This Flames team, obviously, they're going to be sellers at the deadline. And I believe they were minus 400 favorites in this game. The Sharks winning, covering the puck line and covering the super puck line, minus 2.5 as well. But of course, nobody bet that with the Sharks being ginormous underdogs. And the final game of the night was Detroit Vancouver, 4-1 win for the Canucks. This Canucks team continues to roll. Despite Detroit playing very well against them in the past, it did not matter. The Canucks with the victory here, and the Canucks not a team I want to bet against really at all. Taking a look at the standings, doing our quick standings update before we get to today's game. Florida with the victory is now tied with Boston for the lead in the Atlantic Division. Tampa Bay with 65 points. The Rangers lead the Metropolitan, 1 point behind Florida and Boston for first in the East. Carolina and Philly tied with 65. Toronto in the first wildcard spot here with 64. Detroit with 60. And then we've got a few teams here, New Jersey, Islanders, Pittsburgh, all trying to catch the Detroit Red Wings for the final wildcard spot. Washington's still there as well. Montreal, Buffalo, not so much. Ottawa, not so much. And then Columbus will most likely be on an island in their own for the rest of the year. In the Central, Dallas 74 points, Colorado 70, Winnipeg with 69. Close race there for the Central. Of course, Winnipeg only 69 points. They're 5 points behind. But as you see here, they have 4 and 3 games in hand. So we'll see what the Jets can do with those games in hand. Vancouver, number 1 in the league right now, 80 points. 68 points for Vegas, 63 for the Edmonton Oilers. Wild card spot, LA and St. Louis both have 60, 4 points ahead of Nashville and Seattle with 56, Minnesota and Calgary with 55 here. Arizona with 50, who we're going to be discussing here shortly. And then the bums of the NHL all here at the bottom of the Western Conference. Now we will jump into the chat and see what everyone thinks about yesterday. Reinhardt passes. I know. Maybe he didn't want number 40 to be an empty net. That's possible as well. Definitely is possible. Bruins money line isn't automatic anymore. They tried. They tried. I watched that game. For some reason, Bruins games are on TV a lot here for me. And I watched that game, and the Bruins tried, but Joey Decord, the Senators, not to shit on the Senators, sorry to any Senators fans watching, but you give up Philip Gustafson, you give up Joey Decord, like, what are you doing? You could have Joey Decord and Philip Gustafson right now, and the Senators would probably be in a playoff spot. But they don't make good decisions with goaltenders, obviously, as we've seen. What's up, Terry? I smashed the like. Hello, Richie. I'm sure you're feeling pretty happy this morning. Well, I'm sure. Isn't, yes, for sure. I'll be tailing you, Terry, after the oil didn't cover against the spread. You warned me about the grudge. Oof. Yeah. Ottawa Anaheim goal in first 10 minutes, Addison. My Buffalo guy texted me about UPL, and I immediately hammered Florida Reg money line and the period props. There you go. There you go. Dallas Mother's trip. Sorry, I missed that crucial info. Or else I would have hammered Dallas. I didn't know as well until after the game had started. But something to keep in mind: the Mother's trip. And I know some people might say, "Oh, that doesn't matter." Look at I don't have the numbers, but look at what happens when teams have their mothers on the trip. Um, they play hard. It's just how it is. Also, I am sorry I didn't emphasize hammering Wolf goals against after so many days off. Yeah, what a I feel bad for Wolf. Absolutely lights out in the American Hockey League, but has not had a good NHL experience so far. And what do the Flames do? They give him the San Jose Sharks, and he still has a horrible game. So I feel bad for him. Obviously, he needs more time in the AHL still, not NHL ready. Nice hit. I went 2 for 2 in goal first tens. The two I missed still had a three goals in the first period. Oh, darn, darn. Matthews anytime goal prop buzzing. Oh, there you go. Ottawa and Chicago tomorrow at Tommy T. Goal in first 10. Yeah, we'll definitely be discussing that game later tonight. NA's college hockey for Robert. North Dakota -1.5, Wisconsin -1.5, Minnesota Gophers -1.5, Denver -1.5, Maine -1.5, Michigan minus. Wow, so puck line city here for Robert today. There you go. Hagel point hit. Cooch gets doubled out with Hagel and Sorelli at times. Yeah, yeah. I was happy to get that point same game parlay at least with Hagel. Love those easy wins, of course. Of course, it was just easy. Hawks aren't that strong when Soderblom's in it, for sure. Uh, Penalty or Patrick Kane 88 assist hit. Yes, there you go. I did discuss him a little bit yesterday. Duchesne Toffoli anytime parlay hit versus former teams. Yes, it did. I also had Duchesne in a parlay with Marchment that I added after the show as well. So that was nice. The bums of the end. Hey, it's true. It's true. Look at them. Bums. Decord really didn't blossom until he was in Coachella Valley in the with the Sens defense. Yeah. And that's it's hindsight, right? You give up on these players and then they go elsewhere and do really well. I guess that's just how it goes. But looking back at it now, I'm sure the Senators wish they had Gustafson and Decord. Mother's trip and dad's trips create amazingly powerful and positive vibes. Big love. There you go. So first we will get into today's NHL game, and then I will go over my NHL future play, and then we'll get to the HL. So still have some stuff to talk about on today's slate. Only game in the NHL today, and you would assume, or you would have hoped that with there being no NBA today due to the All Star break, you would have hoped that the NHL would have had a bigger NHL schedule for people to watch. But of course, that is not the case here in this one. But Carolina -204 to -225. Arizona +180 to +184. Sixes right across the board here in this one. And yes, there's been a little bit of movement here throughout the morning. And that is because Connor Ingram has been confirmed as out day to day with injury. So it will most likely be Karel Vejmelka in net for the Arizona Coyotes. It looks like it'll be Pyotr Kochetkov for Carolina. Huge goaltending advantage with Kochetkov and the Canes. How have these teams been doing recently? Carolina 8-4 in their last 12 games, one over, five unders, one game finished with 6 goals. The Coyotes have lost 7 in a row, 5 of their last 8 games over 6.5. What's happened when these teams have faced each other? Well, very one-sided. Carolina 14 2-2 in the last 18 meetings. 6 of the last 7 meetings, the Hurricanes have won by multiple goals. They've taken care of business when they've faced this Yotes team. 5 of the last 8 games going under 5.5. Give me the Hurricanes puck line here in this one. This Arizona Coyotes team, as I discussed on the yesterday show or the day before, are on the schedule of death right now, where they just have a horrible schedule with all these good teams coming in or facing the good teams on the road, good teams coming to Arizona. This Yotes team, I don't want to say they've given up, but it's just not going to be their year. It's not their year to finally make the playoffs. I think they're still a year or two away, and they obviously realize that falling down the standings quite a bit here. So not having Connor Ingram really hurts the Yotes as well. Give me the Canes to win this game by multiple goals. Looking at player props here for this one, Seth Jarvis has a point in 7 of his last 8 games. He has been consistent for the Hurricanes. Sebastian Aho has a point in 7 of his last 9. Marty Necas has a point in 7 of his last 10, at least 4 shots on goal in 7 of his last 9 games. Unfortunately, those 3 players are all separated on different lines. So when it comes to same game parlays, I might be careful with parlaying all 3 together just because they're on different lines. I'm not exactly sure about the power play, but um, I'm going to be definitely having Seth Jarvis in a parlay, that's for sure. Probably with the Canes money line, maybe team total in that as well. For the Yotes, Clayton Keller, 0.7 of his last 9, and that's basically it. The only player who is consistent right now for the Arizona Coyotes. Jump into the chat. The Buccaneers drafted Steve Young and Bo Jackson in football. Hindsight is always 2020. Yeah, exactly. Toby likes the under 6.5 here in this one. All right, all right. Canes minus 1.5. The Wild did it, so can they. There you go. Svechnikov point, Aho point parlay is minus 112. I wouldn't be shocked to see that hit. Svechnikov is due for a point after returning here. Burns over 2.5 shots parlay with the money line. All right, all right. Robert thinks 5-2 Canes or 3-1. That's what it was last time these teams faced each other was 3-1. So we'll see if that happens again. Yotes used to be stronger at home. Would this be their 8th loss in a row? Yes, this was their 8th loss in a row. And I know that their home magic has come to an end. Let me get exactly. Okay, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they're 3-7 or 3-8 in their last 10 or 11 at home. So their home magic and really just their magic in general this year, as they surprise people and were looking better than people expected, they've come down to earth. Goal in first 10 for Carolina's 14-2 on the road. Arizona 5-1 at home. There you go. So goal in first 10, most likely here. Hopefully for me, it's a Carolina goal. Yotes give up shots. Canes are programmed to shoot. Kochetkov save total under or Nature's shots on goal. I would definitely look at Nature's shots on goal. As I said, he has at least 4 in 7 of his last 9 games. So even if you want to go down to 3 as a parlay piece, you could do that as well. 15-11 on the season at home. Yeah. So obviously still a good record, but it's coming down to earth compared to what it was earlier on in the season. That is today's game. And now I have a Stanley Cup pick. After looking at things last night and really just looking at how teams have performed recently, I've decided that there is a team that I have to pull the trigger on to win the Stanley Cup. And my pick to win the Stanley Cup this year is the Florida Panthers at plus 1,000. This Florida Panthers team, they have the offense, they definitely have the defense. We've seen they have two good goaltenders they can rely on, but they also have a physical edge. Bill Guerin has said a lot about grit. This Florida Panthers team has grit. And for me, looking at it here, I don't see any team in the Eastern Conference competing with Florida in a 7-game series. So for me, Jake, I know maybe you're not watching live, but I know you'll watch the show after. I think your Panthers are going all the way this year. So give me the Panthers to win the Stanley Cup plus 1,000 as my futures play here. And I'm not much of a futures guy, but I want a ticket here on this Florida Panthers team. So I pulled the trigger this morning for plus 1,000 here for the Florida Panthers. I appreciate the chat community in your show, Terry. Let's go Panthers Brotherhood. Yes, let's go. Let's go Panthers. But that's not all for today. We do have 2 AHL games that I'm going to go over. And the first one here is between a game we've already talked about earlier on this year. The Bridgeport Islanders are heading to Providence to face the Bruins. This season, the Providence Bruins 9-1 against this Bridgeport Islanders team. They have absolutely dominated them all season long. 3-1, 6-3, 2-1, 2-0, 5-4, 4-3, 6-3, 2-1. Bridgeport did get one win at home, 3-1, and then 4-2 for Providence in the other game. Just looking at this matchup, Bridgeport's lost 3 in a row. Overall, they've had a rough season. This Providence Bruins team, 4-1 win, 4-2, 4-2, 6-1. The loss against Hershey, but Hershey is one of the best teams in the AHL. So no trouble there for Providence. 8-2 in their last 10 games, playing dominant hockey, 11-6-1, 11-6-3 at home. Providence 4-16-2 on the road. Give me Providence Bruins in regulation for minus 110. If people wanted to go on the puck line, you could as well, but we have seen some 1-goal games in this matchup between these teams. I like Providence to win this game. Money line is a good parlay piece. I took them in regulation here for minus 110 to win this game in regulation. And the second game on the slate, Iowa Wild and the Texas Stars, 2-2 against each other so far this season. 7-4 for Texas, 3-2 for the Wild, 4-2 for the Wild, 4-0 for Texas. All played in Iowa. Looking how these teams have done recently, Iowa's won 3 games in a row, while Texas has lost 4 of their last 5 here. And yes, I'm doing it. I'm taking the Iowa Wild money line here at plus 116. I like the underdog price here. I think this will be a close game. Iowa's heating up here recently in their last few games. Texas is not playing as well. So I'll take the Iowa Wild here at plus 116. I do like Providence in regulation more than this Iowa Wild play, but I have to take them here. Plus 116 here on the road. Jesper Wallstedt should be a net for the Iowa Wild. What if it's Vancouver versus Panthers final? There's a reason why I don't have a ticket on the Canucks, and that is because of the President's Trophy curse. And Richie saying, "Don't do it, Terry." Fading the Texas Stars. I'm sorry, Richie. I'm sorry. I got to take that plus money with Iowa. But the reason why I'm not on the Canucks ticket here for any futures is because, as I said, the President's Trophy curse. Currently, Vancouver has a 6-point lead to win the President's Trophy. They would be smart to, I'm not saying lose games, but they would prefer most likely for someone else to win the President's Trophy because it has been a curse. Teams do not win the Stanley Cup when they win the President's Trophy. And I know maybe one has, but as Tommy says, I don't have the exact numbers here. The President's Trophy curse is real. So, also for me, the West is a lot more wide open, in my opinion. I think more teams can compete. We just saw what Dallas did. I could see Dallas going on a run in the playoffs. Vancouver has been great all season. I could see them going on a run in the playoffs. No, I'm not going to say Minnesota, although I do think they make the playoffs. People wondering why didn't I give out Minnesota to make the playoffs today? It's because after this game against Buffalo, the Wild do have a somewhat tough schedule for the rest of the month. And then March, they have some games against St. Louis and LA, which are really important. But I think we might get a better number on the Wild to make the playoffs if we wait due to their tough schedule coming up here. So that's why I have not pulled the trigger on the Wild to make the playoffs yet, but it's coming eventually. It's coming. Don't win the President's Trophy. That's true. That's true. But that's today's show. Thank you everyone for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button. And we will be back on later sometime tonight to break down tomorrow's games. And so stay tuned to that. Obviously, it'll be up on the YouTube, and then I'll post on Twitter when the show's happening. So make sure to tune in later tonight, and we will discuss tomorrow's large NHL slate. Best of luck to everyone in your place tonight, and we'll see you guys again for another episode. Getting well, retiring friends. Best of luck, everyone.